Let's have a look at our juice data and obtain some summary statistics in SAS Studio. Okay, so I've logged into SAS Studio here. It's come up with my list of data files for our class. We're going to be having a look at week 1 juice data. So let's double click on that. That's going to allow us to import this data. Now when I do this, I really like to change the name of the data set that it's going to call our data. By default, it labels it with import or import 1 or something like that. I like to change that. I'm going to change that to juice. That makes me more able to keep track of this data a little bit more easily when I've got multiple data sets floating around. Okay, so that's our import step. We're going to hit our running guy up here to run this data. Okay, so what have we got? Here's our output data here. It's a little bit tough to see, so let's scroll up a little. And this is showing us all of that data. This kind of looks like the Excel spreadsheet, but we are seeing, well, all of our data, samples 1 through 300, all the volumes and nozzles. So if we scroll down to the bottom, you're actually only going to see the first 100 observations, that is the 100 nozzle 1 observations. In order to see the remainder, we'd move over. There we go. There is our second set of 100 observations and our third. Now it's just a coincidence here that the showing 100 at a time matches up with the data that we have. By default, SAS Studio just shows us 100 observations at a time. So try and bear that in mind if you've got a data set that's larger than 100 observations. Okay, what shall we do next? Let's have a look at some statistics here. So let's go down and have a look at tasks and utilities. In tasks, let's first click on the data tab, and let's go to characterize data. Characterize data is going to give us a nice quick look at some summary statistics and graphs for our data. We need to tell tell SAS Studio which data file we're using. So if we click here, that's going to allow us to choose our juice dataset, or whatever you labeled it as. I'm going to choose my variables that I want it to characterize in here. And for now, I'm just going to choose volume and hit run. So let's see what we've got. We've ended up with some basic summary statistics for our observations of the volume of juice that's been recorded here. We've got 300 observations, a mean of 999.592, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, some nice basic summary statistics. We've also got a histogram of this data to let us have a look at how it is distributed. It's distributed approximately normally with a mean of, what are we, 999.6 or so. Okay, so this is nice. We can actually go a little bit farther though. If we click on roles down here and add a grouping variable, our nozzle, and again hit run, we've now got all of this analysis done on each of the nozzles separately. So for nozzle 1, we have a mean of 999.602, for nozzle 2, 999.57, for nozzle 3, 999.604. We've also got those histograms for each of the 3 nozzles. Okay, so this characterized data operation is one of the ways that we can get some basic summary statistics. Another way that we can do it is down here in the statistics grouping. We can go to summary statistics. So if I double click on that, it has already pre-populated the data with the data set that we're using, which is nice. And we'll again do the same things. So under roles, for analysis variables, we'll click volume, and classification variables, we'll click nozzle. If we hit run here, that's just going to give us some basic summary statistics, the summary statistics that we've already seen. but we've actually got a few more options here. If we click on options over here, we can choose to add some additional statistics. So number of missing values is one that I like to select to see if there's any missingness in our data. I also like the range, but that's just me. If you don't like range, no big deal. We could also get some histograms under plots here, and we could also get some box plots, which are nice to also take a look at this data. That looks good. Let's hit run again. And we've got that same same summary statistics up the top. We've got the same histograms that we saw before, and then we've got some side-by-side box plots as well.